Hey, what is up everybody? Today, this is Caidicus, and today I'm doing a video review of the, just wait for it, it's amazing, the Korg Minilog. Minilog. Okay, in all seriousness, I am doing a video review of the Novation Peak. This thing, let me get a little closer here. This thing is an unbelievable 3 oscillator digital synthesizer. Bless you. Bless you, go away. A 3 digital oscillator. Cool. Timing, it's all about timing. She hasn't sneezed all day. A 3 digital oscillator synthesizer with analog filters and effects. Or I know the filters are analog, I'm not sure about the effects, but they all sound pretty good. And how about a visualization of the outside of this device? First of all, I'll go by the build quality. It has wooden panels on the side, very nice. It has fully metal casing all around it. And one of the oddest things that I found about this thing is that it actually comes with Novation's kind of flair or their touch of an odd color on the bottom. It's very strange. You see that blue right there? It's really weird. But the bottom here is metal as well. You can see on the outside of the device, on the back here, there is a headphone, output left and right, CV module mod inside, or in, I'm sorry, can I speak English? And a pedal 1 and 2, as well as 3 midis. One is an input, one is an output, and one is a through, and I can name them backwards. USB port, power port, and switch, and then a Kensington lock right here, if you can see that. Who really cares? Have you ever used a Kensington lock? I haven't, but it's probably because I don't do like live performances. On the front of the device, you've got a few different sections on here. Here you have your oscillator section with all sorts of controls for it. Pitch controls, fine pitch controls, coarse pitch controls, I'm not sure. You've got your wave shape button right here, so you scan through them. It's not quite as convenient as knobs for the wave shape. So for example, I have the Voyager XL, which I've showed you the review for. With that, you can turn through the different waves and go exactly to like specifically to what you want. This you have to click through them, but it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Here you have your little screen right here. It'll tell you some like different settings and stuff. And there is a little bit of menu diving in this, but it's really not that bad once you start to get a feel for it. Everything's labeled here. It's got your oscillator, envelope, LFO, arpeggio and clock, mod section right here for your routing, your voice to control or to set different voices, your FX and your settings, that's the global settings. Here you've got your patch, so it'll tell you your patch name and you can go through it and stuff like that. Up here, you've got an initialize, let's say that, okay. You got an initialize button right here, so if we press that, it'll go to a very basic 1 oscillator, empty, no effect sound, and then you can start to adjust it as you go along. Then you can add in oscillators over time. Here you've got a compare, so you can press the button to see, like compare it to the patch that it's already on. Here you've got an audition, and I don't know what that does. And you've got a save, and that saves it. You got your main volume. You've got 2 animate things here that you can press hold and press one of them, and I don't exactly know what it does. Like I've pressed it during playing and it changes the sound, but I don't know which parameter controls those animations. But what I think it is that you can be playing something with a certain sound or filter or whatever, and then you can press and hold that, or press the hold and press it, and it changes it to another setting or preset for that sound. So it's actually kind of neat. It's really nice if you want to go 8 bars in and suddenly add a different change to the sound that you're putting out of this thing. Over in this section here, you've got your amp envelope and your mod envelopes. So you can adjust these, the attack and sustain and delay and all that stuff just by moving those things up. There's sliders, pretty nice, and they feel nice and smooth when they go up and down. All your knobs feel really good when they turn. They're very smooth. This one is clicky. These ones are just gradient, just you've got different, you got your shapes right here for your LFO. You've got 2 LFOs on this puppy, and you can adjust both of them. You can set them onto each patch and whatever. On this section right here, you've got your filters, your filter section, and you can adjust your settings for each of those on each of the oscillators. Pretty cool. And then you've got your knob right here to adjust the amount of filter, and you've got You can choose between your envelope depth, whether you want the amp envelope or the mod envelope, which is amp and mod, setting those two things there. You've got your source with a 12 decibel and 24 decibel for the slope. And I've noticed that while I'm playing it and I press between those two, the 12 and 24, it significantly changes the sound in very delightful and surprising ways. Here you've got a distortion knob, so you can turn up your distortion on any patch. You can do that. Then you've got your 3 effects section. On effects, yeah, it's like an 80s boombox right now. How's it going? On your effects here, you've got your chorus, and there are different settings for it inside the menu here. It is a little bit wonky. When you're first building a new patch in here, you'll want to go into the settings here and adjust your chorus for that patch. And once you've done that, you can get a more desirable effect with your chorus, you know, finding out how many voices you want and stuff like that. You've got your level and your rate. It's kind of neat. Down here, you've got your delay. Again, the chorus, the delay, and the reverb, all of them have extra settings inside the menu here. You do have to menu dive a little bit, but it's kind of like one of those things that when you're building a patch for the first time, you'll also build the effects for it, then save that patch, and those effects will be per patch. So it's not like once you've changed the, I think that once you've made it for a patch, then it will be, just for that patch, it'll be like that, and every patch will have its own different effects. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. The delay is pretty good. You can set it in 2 different ways. You can set it by pressing the sync button. The sync button, if you've got like a MIDI input and you press sync, then the timing will be adjusted according to whatever MIDI information you're getting. So for example, I often use that mini log to control, or I only got this 2 days ago. I say often. I have used my mini log to control my peak here. And I will set the BPM on the mini log to be 120 or whatever. And then when I press sync on here, it'll sync the delay to that. Then I can do it in quarters or halves or, you know, 16ths, whatever, by adjusting the time on here. But if it's unsynced, then it's simply turning the time button will adjust it to a value of 127 max and 0 minimum. But basically you're just adjusting the timing on it. The last effect is the reverb, and I want to say right off the bat, this reverb sounds fantastic. It's unbelievable. I'm really blown away by it. It's very clean, it's very ambient and moving, and any sample, any sound or patch that you put in here, not sample, every patch that you generate from here, as soon as you turn the reverb on, you can just feel it resonate, and it's just such a wonderful, warm, full sound. I do have a Korg EMX1. It's a much older device. It's more of a groove box. The synthesizer on it is very simple, and it has reverb as well. And the reverb sounds very ringy. It's odd. It kind of like builds up ringiness or ringing, or I don't know, something like it rings. This thing just, it sounds really fantastic. But that does bring me to one of my one thing that I'm not so happy about the Peak is that it has no audio inputs. It is only outputs. And it's so weird for me because I was thinking, wow, wouldn't it be nice to be able to plug in my Voyager XL into this thing and run those sounds through this thing's reverb, through this thing's effects? It'd be fantastic because the effects on this thing sound so good. But there's no audio inputs. It's so weird. I highly doubt Novation will ever see this video, but if they do, Novation, listen to me. You need to let other devices play with your effects because they're fantastic. But with all that said, I think we should get on to the point where I demo some of these sounds because I've talked a lot and showed you the outside of it, and I've hoped that the camera is getting this in view. I've hoped. I'm probably gonna go around to the other side of the phone and find out that I haven't pressed play. But anyway, I'll just set this thing up so that you guys can hear it, and I'll be right back, okay? So bear with me for just a moment. Okay, here we are back again, and oops, I had the reverb on my mixer. Okay, so here we are back at this at the table, and you can see the Peak over here and the mini log over here. It's not the very best angle because my phone's sitting on a tripod that really likes to fall down. So if it's any higher with a better view, it'll just fall on the face. Doesn't matter, let's just get into it. Want to hear some sounds? Let's hear some default patches that come with it. And I'm not going to talk so much while I do it. I'm just going to play some for you. Put some reverb on there. Nice. Nice and moody. Of course, this is a polyphonic synthesizer, so of course you can play chords a little bit low and then a little bit crowded because this voice here or this patch here is a little bit of a busy patch, so they sound kind of crazy together, but you know. I'm not a professional player, as you can hear. Okay, so this has no reverb on it and no delay. So let's introduce the reverb so you can hear it as it's slowly coming in here. In my opinion, why it is such a nice sounding reverb. And then the delay. It's nice, and of course you can adjust the level on it and how, you know, adjust how intense it is. Here where the sliders are, I can really manipulate the sound. Yeah, it's quite nice. Then there's the patch initializations to build your own patches, and it's really nice. And I'll show you that right now. I'll create a new patch. There you go. That's your what, sawtooth right there, probably. It says it's a sine. Okay. This is just one oscillator. This is oscillator 1. Then I can start to introduce more as I go along. It sounds really kind of stale and robotic because I haven't done much to it yet. No filters or envelopes, but let's put some reverb on there and you'll hear how much nicer it gets instantly. Okay, that's enough playing around with that from me. I'm gonna come back to the camera and give you guys just a follow-up. You know what? I'll just turn it. So here I am again, ignoring you guys. No, not really. My basic, well, I should give you a conclusion about how I feel about the device. I've given you a bit of a sound demonstration about the pre-made patches that are already in there. I will say that creating new patches on this thing is such a pleasure. It's simply press initialize, tweak the knobs, then press save a few times, and it just says, do you want to do here or there, or whatever. You can set the name and stuff like that. But if you're in a rush, you can go to any of the patch banks that are empty or any patch that's already on there that you don't like. You just go to that spot right there, you press initialize, you make the sound that you want, press save 3 times, and it's there. It's done. You've created a patch. It's super simple. Compared to my Voyager XL, I find it's quite difficult to make a patch because you have to menu dive a lot in the Voyager XL. A lot of menu diving, a lot of pressing confirm and stuff like that. I'm not quite clear on it yet. I'm also not sure on what it saves when I do it. But with the Peak, it's very straightforward. Just press initialize, set the sound the way you want it. Even effects, everything you can just change it and then save it, and it's wonderful. Very easy to pull it back up again. So I'm really pleased with this. It's not a super cheap device. I'm considering it doesn't have a keyboard or anything, and as far as I know now, it's selling for about $1,300 American, brand new. Not the cheapest thing in the world, also not the most expensive. I did buy it in China, so I spent a little over $2,000 American because there's tax on this stuff. But I find it's worth it. Namely, my biggest reason for getting it was I have the Voyager XL, and that is a gigantic, gargantuan Moog synthesizer, and it sounds wonderful and it's really fun to use, but it's a monophonic synthesizer. So the only way that I can get some sort of like chords or more complexity going in a single segment of a song is to record something and then record again, and it's not as convenient as this being an 8-voice polyphonic synthesizer, the Novation Peak. It's polyphonic, so now I can do more voices at the same time as doing something on the Moog. I can record myself a bass line and then just start playing along with it and getting into it. So I find that the two of them are wonderful partners. It's a good partnership. I haven't explored too much yet about using both of them at the same time because I've actually just, as per this video, put this thing on my desk. I've been playing with it on the bed and learning my way around it, and just kind of I'm quite in awe of it. So in conclusion, I'm very impressed by it. I'm blown away by the sound, the quality of it. I don't know much about hardware yet. I know I've started to do a lot of amateur reviews, and I am still an amateur, very much so. I only got into using hardware about 6 months ago, starting with a Rolly Blocks set, and that was different. And since then, I've gone to different things like the OP1 and the Korg Minilog, as you've seen, the MPC Live, a couple of groove boxes, the MC808, blah, blah, blah. I've gone through different things. I feel that the Novation Peak is a very professional piece of hardware. It sounds fantastic. The build quality is really good. I'm blown away by it. I'm totally impressed. As I said, or as I tried to start saying, was I don't know much about Novation since I'm new to hardware. I know that it's like well known in the music sphere, but I was afraid that because it's kind of a newer name, new-ish, compared to like Moog or Dave Smith Instruments or whatever, that it'd be like, kind of cheapy or whatever, but it doesn't feel like that at all. It works and it sounds fantastic, and I'm super excited to play with it. All those knobs on the front of it, they're just so tweakable and so enjoyable to just fine tune and get it to make surprising sounds. It's a wonderful synthesizer. I'm really glad I got it. Even for the massive premium that I paid for it, getting it in China, I'm still quite impressed by it, quite happy with it. So definitely recommend it if you have the budget to plop down on a desktop synthesizer that, you know, it's over $1,000, but it's worth it in my books. If you got that kind of willpower and spending power, then go for it. Definitely go for it. If you're on the fence and wondering, like, does it sound good or professional, what I showed you tonight was doing it no justice. I mean, you can find tons of videos on YouTube where people play it way better than I do, and they make their own patches, and it just sounds fantastic. So definitely in my books, like, from my point of view, being rather amateur and quite new to hardware, because I'm new to hardware, I need whatever I'm buying or whatever I'm using to be kind of entertaining to use, and the Peak is a lot of fun to use. Very fun to tweak the knobs and things like that, and it's so rewarding. So from a amateur standpoint, is it fun? That's the key thing for me is it fun? And yes, it is definitely 100% fun. Is it confusing and frustrating? Not at all. Quite an enjoyable experience, and everything makes a lot of sense. Did I open the instruction manual to learn how to use it? No, I didn't. I have some background with my current hardware, so I've got an idea of where to start with things, and I understand what oscillator and LFO and envelopes and all that. I know what these things are, so I could just dive right into it, and it's very intuitive, very enjoyable. So yep, definitely recommend it in my books. And that is it for my review today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave comments in the comment section below. Blah blah blah. You've heard everybody say this all the time. Subscribe if you want to, like if you want to, dislike if you don't like it, and I will try to make another review soon. So thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you all next time. This is Caidicus, out.